Looking at Saturday and Sunday, so this is your weekend forecast for April 11th and 12th. So Saturday, we are really seeing kind of an enhanced threat across central Texas. We see a slight threat across most of the other central to eastern parts of Texas, but that's not what we're really focusing on this weekend. But we're going to start you out with Saturday, and we'll go throughout the weekend to kind of show you how this storm is developing. So we have temperatures that are up in the 80s in some areas and 90s even in parts of Texas on Saturday, and we have kind of some generally nice temperatures, but a key factor is what's happening in the south. So as we go through the day, composite reflectivity shows that basically we have these cells that kind of pop up throughout the day, but our big threat is really kind of that early afternoon time is where we're going to have the highest chance of any big cells. It looks like potentially a supercell or two could develop, but we do have that system that is working its way through. So that's basically what composite reflectivity shows, and we do see that energy traveling east. So that's all it is, but our highest chance for a tornado, so we have our SIGTOR here, our significant tornado parameter at the fixed layer, is going to be basically kind of that early time on Saturday, not at overnight time specifically, but we're looking at more of a kind of a right around dinner time. So we're going to see it around 6, 7, 8 p.m. And we're going to see it in that kind of south central part of Texas is where our highest reading is at. And that's not going to be a huge threat right there. We're not going to see an outbreak on Saturday, but that is a key of what's going to happen on Sunday. We could see it in every model, but NAM is the most accurate distance-wise, and so that's why we're using this model. So we are seeing that is actually going to be occurring. We have the highest chance of a tornado, and this is not going to be capped. So we're going to have some big convection going on with this system. So moving on to Sunday, we see our categorical here, and this is 3 days out that we are seeing a moderate threat across parts of the south and an enhanced threat across the rest of the south. And so this is something that whenever we see a moderate 3 and 5 days out, you know it's going to be a big outbreak. So we're going to see an outbreak probably here. We're predicting at least a severe weather outbreak. There is a high chance of a high probability of there being some tornadoes with this, and there's supposed to be some law and track ones. The National Weather Service is saying that everything about this shows tornadoes, so we could see a tornado outbreak here, which would be the first truly outbreak of the year. The last time we had a threat for an outbreak was up there in Peoria, Illinois, just a few weeks ago, but that didn't really produce too much. But this event, we are seeing everything lining up for an outbreak. We have everything as perfect right there. Potential, we have the energy there, we have the storms, we have the temperatures, and even the helicity there. So we have everything that could allow for this severe threat. So our temperatures, as I mentioned, we are seeing kind of a cold front behind this storm, but we can see, obviously, we're seeing some of that energy being fed in from Texas and Florida on the warmest part of Sunday. It's going to be fed in right there to that south part. They're both kind of arrowed towards each other, so you can see we're getting all of that heat kind of dragged into the same area, and that's going to allow for some big storms. Our composite reflectivity here, take a note about how this storm collects throughout the whole day. It goes from this kind of sporadic form to really a big twisting system, and it's going to be beautiful to see it on the IR satellites. But what's happening down at the ground level in the south is going to be super severe. It's going to be catastrophic in some scenarios they are predicting. So as we go through the day on Sunday, we have kind of some storms collecting over Texas. We see them build. We see a line of showers, maybe some thunderstorms move through the south, but we're not too worried about that morning time wave. What we're more focused on is kind of that afternoon is where we see the storm kind of start to break apart, and right around kind of 2 to 4 or 5 p.m., we see that line of really individual supercells that are all lined up to Louisiana and Mississippi. This is going to be your big threat there, is because these are where they're developing. So we see that just before dinner time, and then through dinner time, we see them all form into a line that goes, and we do see that kind of hook on the back side of kind of the Arkansas area. So that's something that's interesting. We're seeing Arkansas dragged into this also, but really that's kind of the grounds for everything to build on. So we're going to see these storms building in Louisiana and Arkansas and starting to make their way to the northeast. So we see the energy coming from Texas, temperatures coming coming from Texas and Florida, but we're going to see everything kind of feeding in and allowing it to build to its maximum by the time it makes its like halfway through Arkansas. So as we continue really through Sunday, we see Sunday night two lines form. We see a line kind of through Mississippi and then into Alabama, but then we see a second line through Tennessee and then into Alabama. So we see that potential there for, some straight line winds, some big hail, damaging wind gusts, but we do see that chance for embedded tornadoes, and there's still some supercells developing right behind that line. So we are seeing really this is going to be a very dangerous situation as we go into Monday at midnight. We are seeing this line work its way through, and we're going to see this line really stay in the country all the way through 5 p.m. on Monday. The severe threat, however, diminishes right around 2 a.m. on Monday. So it's going to be a big threat, mainly from the mid-afternoon on Sunday is when we're going to see the biggest threat in eastern Texas and in parts of Louisiana and Arkansas, all the way through Monday in parts of Georgia. So our big threat, however, for the core of this zone, where we see it in eastern Mississippi, western Alabama, and kind of that area of Louisiana, Arkansas, and then that very eastern corner of the west part of the Florida Panhandle, is where we're going to see these storms developing right around dinner time, really a little bit after dinner time, really between 6 and 9 p.m. on Sunday. So that's why we're seeing that big Easter threat. But that storm really collects. That's allowing that storm to really whip out and have a lot. There's so much combining power with this. We'll have a briefing that we'll be doing. It'll be posted here on Saturday or tomorrow on Sunday, where we could see all of this, and we're going to discuss what all is occurring. High chance of it being posted on Sunday, considering it is a more of a towards the nocturnal end, so we're going to see if we could post that Sunday morning. But expect this to be severe. As we go on, we check the SIGTOR for Sunday, and we see it go Sunday morning, we see it work its way through Texas, but really we see a whole separate storm system develop. We see that energy disappear into Oklahoma in the morning hours, but once we get into the early afternoon, we see a new threat coming off the coast. That's where these warm temperatures are, that's what they're doing. They're bringing these 9-degree temperatures are bringing incredible humidity, and that's all of this Gulf moisture. It's being brought into Louisiana, and we see kind of explosion, and that's really around kind of noon time, and we're going to see that develop, and then we see by really 2 to 4 p.m. we see this explosion in the southern and kind of that eastern part of Louisiana, and then we see into the southern part of Arkansas also, where we're going to see this energy that the SIGTOR values are off the charts. They're on the upper ends, and that's why we're saying there's a potential outbreak going on here. There's no cap for this. We're seeing this just completely happen right in front of us. So we're seeing all of this combining at once. As we go through the evening hours, we are seeing it develop into Arkansas really around kind of early dinner times, where we're seeing it develop into Arkansas and into central Mississippi. Right after dinner time, we see it generally in the southwest corner of Tennessee and then the eastern part of Arkansas, but really hitting home that northern part of Mississippi. And then we see it really right around kind of 9, 10, 11 p.m. is where we are seeing this kind of overall system kind of start to die off almost a little bit. We see it start to travel north. So we see all the energy kind of core towards what's happening in kind of upper Mississippi, lower Tennessee. And then right around 11 p.m. is where we see the kind of its last stand in kind of the corners of Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. So that's all our threat is there. That threat dies off overnight. But we do have that threat there, and then we're going to see some potential for some straight line winds, some hail early on Monday. But really, we are checking out a very severe Sunday here, so it's something you have to pay attention to, be ready for it, and stay tuned to our forecasts and our briefings that are going to be going on. It's going to inform you of what all is happening. We hope to see you there, because this is going to be a very active Easter.